What is your goal as a player?
My goal as a player to reach professional level and probably play with some of the pros.
Picture this. A 5-year-old boy fleeing civil war with nothing but the clothes on his back, watching his homeland burn as his family escapes to a foreign country where they don't speak the language, don't know anyone, and have absolutely nothing. Fast forward 15 years, and that same boy is lifting the Champions League trophy, earning millions, and being called one of the fastest players on the planet. This isn't some Hollywood movie. This is the absolutely incredible true story of how Alphonso Davies went from refugee to conquering European football. But here's what'll blow your mind. Davies didn't just overcome poverty and displacement. He became the first player born in a refugee camp to play in a World Cup, the first to win the Champions League, and revolutionized the left-back position in ways that nobody thought possible. We're talking about a kid who learned to play football on dirt pitches with makeshift balls, yet ended up playing for Bayern Munich and terrorizing the best wingers in the world. I've spent weeks diving deep into Davies' incredible journey, from the refugee camps of Ghana to the biggest stadiums in Europe. What I discovered will restore your faith in the power of dreams and show you exactly how one family's desperate escape from war became the foundation for footballing greatness. So buckle up, because this is the story of how a refugee conquered European football against impossible odds. It all started in 2000 in the Budaburam refugee camp in Ghana. But Alphonso Davies wasn't Ghanaian. He was born to Liberian parents who had fled one of Africa's most brutal civil wars. His mother, Victoria, and father, Davies, had escaped Liberia with nothing, carrying their newborn son across dangerous borders to reach safety. The Budaburam camp wasn't a temporary stop. It was home to over 40,000 refugees who had been living there for years, some for decades. Families crammed into tiny shelters, children growing up behind barbed wire, dreams seeming impossible when survival was the only priority. I don't remember much about the camp, Alphonso would later say, but my parents told me stories about how hard it was. No electricity, no running water, no opportunities. Just hope that someday, somehow, we could build a better life. That hope came in 2005 when the Davies family was selected for resettlement in Canada. 5-year-old Alphonso, who had never known anything but the refugee camp, was about to experience a culture shock that would change everything. Edmonton, Alberta, was as different from a Ghanaian refugee camp as you could imagine. Snow, cold weather, a completely different language, and a sport called ice hockey that dominated the local culture. But there was also something familiar. Kids kicking a ball around in parks and playgrounds. The first time I saw kids playing soccer in Canada, I knew I wanted to join them, Alphonso remembered. It didn't matter that I didn't speak English well or that I didn't have proper boots. The ball was the same, the goal was the same, and the joy was the same. His parents, working multiple jobs just to make ends meet, couldn't afford proper football equipment. Alphonso played in whatever shoes he had, often too small or too big, on concrete pitches that would tear up his feet. But he didn't care. Football was his escape, his language, his way of connecting with a new country. At 7 years old, Alphonso joined his first organized team, the Edmonton Strikers. His coach immediately noticed something special. This kid was fast. Not just quick, absolutely electric. But more than that, he had this incredible ability to read the game, to be in the right place at the right time. Alphonso was different from day one, his youth coach recalled. He had this hunger, this determination that you don't usually see in kids that young. It was like he was playing for more than just fun. He was playing for his family's future. That hunger came from understanding what his parents had sacrificed. Victoria worked as a cleaner, Davies took whatever jobs he could find, and they saved every penny to support their son's football dreams. New boots, tournament fees, travel costs. It all added up, but they never complained. My parents gave up everything for me, Alphonso said. They left their homeland, started over with nothing, worked jobs they were overqualified for, all so I could have opportunities they never had. I couldn't let them down. By the time he was 14, Alphonso was dominating youth football in Alberta. He was faster than players 3 years older, more skillful than kids who had been playing organized football their whole lives, and most importantly, he had developed an unbreakable mentality. But here's where the story gets crazy. Alphonso almost quit football entirely. In 2015, his family was struggling financially. His parents were working multiple jobs but still barely making ends meet. The costs of competitive football were becoming too much, and Alphonso was considering giving up his dreams to get a part-time job and help support the family. I remember sitting with my parents and talking about maybe focusing on school instead of football, Alphonso revealed. We couldn't afford the travel costs for tournaments, and I felt guilty seeing how hard they were working just to support my dreams. But then something incredible happened. The Vancouver Whitecaps, a Major League Soccer team, had been tracking this lightning-fast teenager from Edmonton. They offered him a spot in their academy with a full scholarship. At 15 years old, Alphonso Davies became the youngest player ever to sign with the Vancouver Whitecaps. The refugee boy was about to become a professional footballer. His MLS debut came in 2016 at just 16 years old. He became the second youngest player in MLS history to score a goal, and immediately, people started taking notice. This wasn't just a fast kid, this was a special talent. Watching Alphonso play for Vancouver was incredible, said his MLS coach. He had this ability to change the game in an instant. One moment you're in control, the next moment he's flying down the wing and creating a goal out of nothing. But Alphonso's breakthrough moment came in 2017 during the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Playing for Canada's senior national team at just 16, he scored crucial goals and showed he could perform on the biggest stage. Suddenly, European clubs were paying attention. Bayern Munich, one of the biggest clubs in the world, made an offer that changed everything. In 2019, they paid a record fee for an MLS player to bring Alphonso to Germany. The refugee boy was heading to the Bundesliga. When Bayern Munich calls, you don't say no, Alphonso said. But I was terrified. I was going from MLS to playing with some of the best players in the world. What if I wasn't good enough? What if I embarrassed myself? Those fears were quickly put to rest. Under coach Hansi Flick, Alphonso was converted from a winger to a left back, a position that would revolutionize his career and change how people thought about modern fullbacks. At left back, Alphonso's pace became a weapon. He could defend against the fastest wingers in the world, then turn defense into attack in the blink of an eye. His overlapping runs created chaos for opposing defenses, and his crossing ability was improving with every game. If you're getting goosebumps hearing about this incredible rise from refugee camp to European giant, make sure to subscribe to Soccer Chronicles because we celebrate the stories that prove dreams have no borders. Trust me, what Alphonso did next will leave you speechless. The 2019-20 season was when Alphonso Davies truly announced himself to the world. Bayern Munich were on their way to a historic treble, and the young Canadian was playing a crucial role in their success. His pace was becoming legendary. There were games where he would sprint the entire length of the pitch, leaving world-class attackers in his dust. His recovery speed meant Bayern could play a high defensive line, knowing that if anyone broke through, Alphonso would catch them. But it was in the Champions League where Alphonso truly made his mark. Against Chelsea in the round of 16, he put in a performance that had football fans around the world talking. His pace, his crossing, his defensive work, it was a masterclass in modern fullback play. Playing against Alphonso was a nightmare, said a Chelsea winger. You think you've got past him, and suddenly he's alongside you again. His recovery speed is inhuman. The Champions League final against Paris Saint-Germain was the pinnacle. At just 19 years old, Alphonso Davies was starting in the biggest match in club football. The refugee boy was 90 minutes away from conquering Europe. Bayern won 1-0, and Alphonso became the first player born in a refugee camp to win the Champions League. As he lifted the trophy, tears streaming down his face, he thought about his parents watching back in Canada, about the journey from Budabaram camp to the biggest stage in football. Winning the Champions League was incredible, Alphonso said, but what made it special was knowing that my story could inspire other refugee kids around the world. If I could make it from a refugee camp to the Champions League, then anything is possible. But Alphonso's impact went beyond just his performances on the pitch. He became a symbol of hope for refugees around the world, showing that circumstances don't define destiny. His success opened doors for other refugee athletes and changed how people thought about immigration and opportunity. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar was another historic moment. Alphonso became the first player born in a refugee camp to play in a World Cup, captaining Canada in their first World Cup appearance since 1986. His goal against Croatia was a moment of pure joy, not just for Canadian football, but for refugees everywhere. Scoring at the World Cup was a dream come true, Alphonso reflected, but representing Canada, representing refugees, representing everyone who has been told they don't belong, that meant everything to me. His performances at the World Cup caught the attention of even more European giants. Real Madrid, Manchester City, and other top clubs were all interested in signing the Canadian speedster, but Alphonso remained loyal to Bayern Munich, the club that had given him his chance. At Bayern, Alphonso continued to evolve his game. He wasn't just a pace merchant anymore, he was becoming a complete player. His crossing improved dramatically, his defensive positioning became more sophisticated, and his leadership qualities started to emerge. Alfonso's development has been incredible to watch, said Bayern coach Julian Nagelsmann. He came to us as a raw talent with incredible speed. Now he's one of the most complete fullbacks in world football. His statistics tell the story of his evolution: assists, clean sheets, successful tackles, distance covered. In every metric, Alfonso was performing at an elite level, but more than the numbers, it was his impact on games that impressed coaches and teammates. Playing with Alfonso gives us an extra dimension, said Bayern midfielder Joshua Kimmich. His pace allows us to play more aggressively because we know he can cover the space behind. And going forward, he creates so many opportunities with his runs and crosses. But perhaps Alfonso's greatest achievement is what he represents. In a sport where racism and discrimination still exist, he's shown that talent and determination matter more than where you come from or what you look like. His foundation work with refugees has been incredible. He's donated money to refugee camps, visited young refugees around the world, and used his platform to raise awareness about the refugee crisis. The boy who once lived behind barbed wire is now helping others escape similar situations. "I never forget where I came from," Alfonso said. "I have a responsibility to help other refugees, to show them that their dreams are valid, that they belong wherever their talents can take them." Today, at just 24 years old, Alfonso Davies is one of the most recognizable players in world football. He's won the Champions League, played in a World Cup, and revolutionized the left-back position. But more than that, he's become a symbol of hope and possibility. His journey from refugee camp to European champion proves that football truly is a universal language, that talent can emerge from the most unlikely places, that dreams don't have borders, and neither does greatness. "My story isn't just about football," Alfonso reflects. "It's about what's possible when people are given opportunities. My parents fled war to give me a chance at a better life. Canada welcomed us and gave us hope. Football gave me a platform to show what refugees can achieve." The impact of Alfonso's success extends far beyond the football pitch. Young refugees around the world now have a role model, someone who shows them that their circumstances don't define their potential. Football academies are paying more attention to refugee communities, looking for the next Alfonso Davies. "Alfonso changed how we think about scouting," said a youth development coach. "We realized that talent can come from anywhere, and we need to look in places we might have overlooked before. Refugee camps, immigrant communities, anywhere kids are playing football with passion." His influence on the game itself has been significant too. The modern left-back position has been redefined partly because of players like Alfonso. The combination of defensive solidity and attacking threat that he brings has become the template for fullbacks around the world. "Alfonso showed us what the modern fullback could be," said a tactical analyst. "Pace, power, technical ability, and the intelligence to know when to attack and when to defend. He's influenced a generation of young fullbacks." But beyond the tactical innovations and the inspirational story, Alfonso Davies represents something fundamental about football and about humanity. He represents the power of sport to transcend boundaries, to create opportunities, and to give hope to those who need it most. The 5-year-old boy who left a refugee camp with nothing has conquered European football not just through his pace and skill, but through his character, his determination, and his refusal to let his circumstances define his destiny. So the next time you watch a lightning-fast fullback bombing down the wing, or see a young refugee kid kicking a ball in a park, remember the story of Alfonso Davies. Remember that greatness can come from the most unlikely places, and that sometimes the most powerful victories are won by those who were never supposed to have a chance. If this incredible journey from refugee camp to European champion inspired you, make sure you're subscribed to Soccer Chronicles because we celebrate the stories that prove football has the power to change lives. Hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the human stories behind the beautiful game. Trust me, there are so many more incredible tales of triumph over adversity waiting to be told, because sometimes the greatest conquests aren't won through force or privilege. They're won through hope, determination, and the unbreakable belief that dreams have no borders. And nobody embodies that spirit better than the refugee boy who conquered European football.